Excellent. Well, thank you, Annette, for joining us and talking a little bit about your experience with Paragon. I'd love to just ask you some questions. The first one I'd love to ask, what heating and cooling problem were you experiencing when you reached out to Paragon in the first place?
Yeah, so we actually ended up buying a new house and moving from a house that was built in the 2000s to a 1920s house with a very large boiler in the bottom, which my husband was super excited about, but I was super scared of. When winter started, we were trying to figure out how to get these things connected and what state they were in. And that was the point in time which we wanted to find somebody local. And we wanted to find somebody that could understand all of the eccentricities, because this house has two air conditioning systems, then the big boiler. It's a big house with a lot of air movement, and we understood we kind of had some stale areas. They were like, maybe somebody can come look at it and see if we can optimize the air conditioning and figure out how to actually make things better. At which point we started kind of looking through the books, and we found Paragon. Chose to go with the company and see what they could do.
Excellent. And how did you find our team handled the project?
Yeah, so the first one was really establishing what we had. They did a fantastic job of going through and checking, to see, what makes and models. One of the air conditioning units that we had, underneath the staircase was 23 years old. We really wanted to understand, could this thing survive another summer? Is it worth it or not? So the team were really good at weighing things up and understanding that we had a boiler that needed to be fixed, plus this air conditioning unit. Which should we do first? What's the most important things to look for? And the nice thing was, after we understood the problem, we had the same team coming back over and over again. The other thing I understood was things are really well documented, so they know exactly what we have today. So when I phone up, they know what's going on. So actually recently, about 2-3 weeks ago, during that really bad heat, we were away on vacation and we saw the temperature going up on the main floor. Now, we have live animals, as many people do, but we also have this added thing of fish tanks. So, hundreds of thousands of sea creatures that rely on a constant temperature. And the temperature on the main floor was creeping up. The top floor was fine, but the house was clearly heating up over time. At which point I phoned Paragon and said, hey, any chance somebody can come have a look at it? Mentioned the fact that the fish were, getting to a point where it was at a threshold. So 82 degrees is really where we start worrying. And we found out that at 83 degrees, we actually start losing corals. So, it was a bad situation. We phoned up Paragon. The electrician was out there within basically 2-3 hours. Established that it was a capacitor that was out, called me directly. At this point, I've got a relationship with most of the, with a lot of the techs. So they know to just phone me. We gave them authorization to replace the capacitor, and the capacitor was up again within an hour or so, and we could see the house heat dropping, which obviously for us was a big thing. They were able to navigate themselves and figure out exactly where everything was, so it really took the stress away in that situation.
That's great. And what surprised you the most, with the situation working with Paragon? Anything come to mind?
Their knowledge of things, right? So they know the units, they know what's happening. We also had an incident where I had an alarm show up on my little Nest system saying, hey, something's going wrong. But it seemed like the thing was acting, the air conditioning was acting fine, but every now and then it would just pop up this error. We phoned up Paragon. They came in, had a look at it, and immediately knew that it was some sensor that was just tripping out. Instead of spending the time trying to replace units and so on and so forth, they knew that they could take that sensor out for a time being, and then come and replace it later on when they did the standard maintenance and servicing. So they were able to solve the problem pretty much immediately, with no questions as to whether it was sustainable or not. They know the equipment well enough. They know, the situation well enough that they're able to correct it. So, I think that bar of knowledge, right? What I found with previous companies is as soon as something goes wrong that is unusual,
Mhm.
you often get oh, well, your air conditioner is 12 years old. It should only really be 13 years old or whatever the numbers are. And it may be time to just replace the unit, right? So to me, being able to fix things is the key. Now it does take more time and it takes more energy, but I'd rather put the money into fixing and reusing what we have, and ensuring that things are running smoothly than
Awesome.
continuously replacing. Yep.
Awesome. And what would you tell someone considering Paragon?
Actually, my neighbor reached out to me yesterday, and they were like, and I was like, immediately I'm like, oh, it was really hard. I'm like, do you need someone to come in immediately? There's a little bit of an upcharge, but they'll get there right away, right? And then she's like, no, we just need to replace our air conditioning unit. I'm like, just phone them. They'll figure it out. They'll tell you what you need, and they'll figure out the cost for things, and put a quote in. Get a quote from them.
Awesome. Well, very great. Thank you, Annette. I appreciate so much your trust in us and you as a customer, and thank you for this testimonial.
It's a pleasure. I appreciate you keeping us up and running and keeping our fish safe.
Excellent. Love to hear it. Love to hear it. All right. There we go.